In today's video, I'll be sharing with you the optimization checklist I used in Google Ads to decrease my clients' cost per lead by half and double their leads in just the first 30 days. After managing Google Ads for now over 7 years and auditing over $100 million in ad spend, the thing I've come to realize is most advertisers, most business owners, whoever's running the ad account, they simply do not understand how to optimize the ad account effectively. They don't understand what changes are high impact versus low impact. They're making constant changes and optimizations, but let's be real, most time they're actually hurting performance, or if it's actually helping the performance, they can't tell you why and they don't know how to replicate the success. That being said, let's dive right into the checklist. Okay, so this checklist right here is going to be a complete A to Z checklist. So that's 26 optimizations that you guys can do. And again, I believe these are most applicable. These are going to drive the highest impact to your ad account. Also, make sure you guys stick around to the end where I'll uncover the top 3 things people fall into that essentially make these optimizations ineffective. I have ranked this by high impact changes. So these are the things that are going to move the needle to the greatest degree. These are mid impact changes. So these are going to still do a lot of damage. Maybe damage is not the right word, but they are going to make a lot of progress in the ad account. And then I have the least impact changes to make. So if I were to look at my ad account and my time in an ad account, I would make sure I prioritize these, then these, and then these. And so again, I also have a frequency tab. So how often should you make these changes? So what you should not do is look at this and do this on a weekly basis and run through this checklist, right? As you'll see, I have daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and quarterly changes. And so if this is maybe your first time optimizing your ad account in months, then sure, run through the whole list. But if you've already been optimizing this ad account and a lot of these points you've already been doing, don't just double up on them. Make sure you follow them at the recommended cadence. That being said, let's hop into optimization A. Make sure your ad account is spending daily. This seems low impact, but double check this to make sure there are no disapprovals or billing issues that prevent you from collecting data. So this is one I see that's often overlooked, especially if you manage several ad accounts or if you're just a busy business owner. If you do not see if your ad account is spending every single day, there's often times where Google will just disapprove your ad account or your billing issues will be messed up. And so you won't be collecting data. You'll wonder why revenue's not coming in, and you'll look back in 7 days with not only zero data, you'll hurt the algorithm, but also you would have just overlooked a very simple thing. So just make sure you hop into your ad account daily, make sure it's spending, you're getting clicks and impressions. Oftentimes when this happens, it's a small disapproval issue, and most times it's not your fault, it's Google's fault. And so just reach out to support, get it fixed, fix your billing, and make sure you're actually getting data in the ad account. Task B is add negative keywords to each ad group. Make sure you're viewing search terms report and negating anything that's bringing in low quality traffic. So this is essentially where you're going to go into your ad account, you'll go to a search campaign, and you'll make sure you click on the insights and reports, and then go to search terms and make sure you select the proper date range on things. But this is where you would essentially look at the quality of the keywords coming in. And so how qualified are they? Are they getting a lot of clicks? If they're getting a lot of clicks and they're unqualified, or the people who are clicking on them clearly are not in the mindset to purchase something.
Hello?
This is Mike Tyson.
Make sure you exclude it. I've seen some very unrelated terms to services and products that are running in the ad account, and it makes sense to completely exclude them, because if they're getting a lot of traffic, they are wasting your money if they're never going to convert. So excluding them is going to ensure that Google does not allow those phrases to trigger your ads anymore. And so as you can see, I've excluded some in this ad account recently, but all you would do is you would just click the ones that are very unimportant or very unqualified to show your ad, and you add as a negative keyword right here. I always filter by clicks or cost to see how much volume is the keyword even getting. There's, as you can see for this account, there is 2,000 terms. And so if I were to rank importance, I would only filter by clicks that have gotten over 1 click. And so the way to do that is you're going to go to add filter, you're going to go to performance, go to clicks, and then make sure it's over 0. And this is going to show you everything that has triggered your ad but has gotten over a click. So I'm not really concerned about things that have triggered my ad and have 0 clicks because I haven't spent any money on it. Sure, it'd be nice to exclude it, but I don't have the time to go through 2,000 search terms. There's some accounts, depending on your spend, where you'll see like 75,000 search terms. That's gonna eat up your time. Focus on the things that are actually getting clicks and spending money that are unqualified to start. And so that is my recommendation. And then you would just scroll down. And as you can see, everything has at least 1 click in the click column right here. And there's still 298, but a lot less than the 2,000. Just make sure you're doing these daily. These are things that should be done daily that have high impact. Okay, hopping into optimization C. Are there campaigns that are performing well from a conversion volume and cost per conversion standpoint? but have middle to low search impression share around under 80%? If so, scale those by 20%. Some of you guys might be thinking, I already know, Carlos, really, you're using a checklist to manage your Google Ads accounts? That seems very one-dimensional. And my response is really, well, yes and no. And let me explain. The checklist is simply serving as essentially an exhaustive guide for me of changes that can impact performance, and then having the knowledge to view the data and understand what changes to implement from the checklist and when to implement them is a whole nother skill. And so this is very similar to a doctor. If you go to them with an issue, they're usually not able to give you a treatment until they can conduct tests that give them confidence that the diagnosis is accurate and that the prescription's actually going to be able to help you. In the same way, this checklist is very helpful, but understanding how to view this through the lens of your Google Ads data in relation to your goals is going to be the best thing possible. But understand, if you just go in and implement all these changes, it's not going to help you. You have to understand and view the data in the correct manner to understand when the change is needed and how frequently. So if you have search campaigns that are doing really well from your desired metric standpoint, hopefully it's from a cost per conversion standpoint or a revenue standpoint, and the search impression share is under 80% for the 7-day or 14-day time period that you're going to be implementing this optimization, scale it by 20%. And so the reason I say 20% and not 50 or 100% is because this is a really easy way to make sure that your bidding strategy gets freaked out and then you ruin all of your metrics. When you scale on Google, their best practice is to scale by 20%, 1 to 2 times a week. I'm a bigger fan of doing it 20% weekly because when I've done it 2 times a week, I see a point of diminishing returns get hit a lot quicker than just doing 1 time a week over a longer course of time. This allows for a more steady and linear performance rise over time while keeping the efficiency or the cost per lead, cost per conversion down or at the same price. And again, this is going to be something that you should look at weekly. And so this is just scaling your ad account. What campaigns can you scale? Optimization D are your TCPA, which is your target cost per acquisition, or your ROAS targets too aggressive? If so, lower the goal to encourage spend. So essentially what this means and is saying is, are your daily budgets actually being spent? And in most cases, when they're not being spent fully, it's because your target ROAS or your target CPA, which is your bidding strategy goals and targets that you're saying, Google, hit this target, they're too aggressive, right? Google can't hit them. They have a hard time having the confidence to spend your budget fully and hit that target for you. An example of this right now, I like to have this column pulled up. This column, what it's telling me is on average over the last 7 days, on a daily basis, I've spent this much money. And I like putting it up front near the budget column because I can quickly reference, well, are my budgets being spent daily in full? So if I look at this budget, this campaign budget, as you can see, they're spending their full daily budgets, right? We have 300 here, 300 here, 300 here, 300 here. They're spending right about at their campaign budget. But for a campaign like this one that it's spending 120 and it's only spending like half of its budget daily that we want it to spend, that's an issue. Right? For a campaign like this is a little bit of an anomaly because this is a branded campaign. So it's just because our search volume for the brand is lower. But for this guy, the issue, if it's not spending its full daily budget, it's because the target's too aggressive. So I likely have to reduce this target to a 200% ROAS for this client and it'll start spending. And it's the same way if you have your target CPA set to, hey, get me a lead at $10 and it's not spending your full budget, try increasing your target by $1 to $2, 1 to 2 times a week and see on a daily basis if that's actually helping. So if I were to move this to 200% and save it, well, I'd come back in the next couple of days and see if Google's actually spending more budget in that campaign. The reason you want to do this is because you want your campaigns to pace at your budget limit, because your budget limit is likely relative to the conversion or the revenue goal that you have for the month. And so not doing this and not keeping up with this optimization is essentially going to limit all your campaigns, and you're limiting yourself by just a small 1 to 2 minute optimization in moving your targets. And so when you move these targets, quick note, only move them by 5 to 10%. And so if you have a target CPA goal or target cost per acquisition goal, and that's your bid strategy, move it by between $1 and $5 and see what that does over a 2-day period. And if it does nothing, do it again by $1 to $5. It's always best to do it in smaller amounts because then you don't want to sacrifice too much efficiency. So if I tell Google, hey, my target ROAS goal is 230%, they're not spending it, and I hop to 150 or just 100%, well, maybe they're able to spend, but they're now hitting that ROAS target, which is much, much lower. So make sure you're still telling them that efficiency matters in the ad account. So just move it by small incremental amounts. Cool. Optimization E. This is, are your TROAS or target CPA goals too conservative? If so, increase them. This is essentially the opposite issue of the optimization D, which was to decrease your targets. Now I'm saying increase your targets. If they're too conservative. So let's just say, for example, you have a target CPA, your target cost per acquisition goal in Google is set at $15, but they're getting you a $10 cost per lead on a regular basis. Start to decrease the goal that you're setting on the bid strategy, and they'll potentially be able to get it lower and lower. So if you know they can spend your full daily budget right now, while your target CPA goal is 15, but they're in actual getting you a $10 cost per conversion, reduce your target CPA goal to $10 and then to $9 over time and then to $8. And if they can consistently spend your budget and get you that target cost per acquisition goal or that target ROAS goal, keep decreasing it by small amounts or increasing the target ROAS by small amounts, so your campaign can become efficient. And the point of these two changes is you want to reach a point of diminishing returns. And this is how you do it. You want to make small increments over time so you know what your bid strategy target should be, to where you can spend the max amount of budget that you want to spend daily and where you can be max efficient. And so how you'll know you reached your point of diminishing returns is you won't be able to spend more money at that target, and you'll essentially have to risk some ROAS or spend a little bit more per conversion if you want to scale your budget. And so this process allows you to find what your bid strategy targets actually should be at your desired spend level and your desired ROAS or cost per lead goal. Points D to F are going to be bi-weekly changes. This is going to give you enough data to see over time, are my targets being met? If not, should I decrease them? Should I mess with them or not? Okay, optimization point number F. Are there keywords that need to be paused? Look for low performance with mid to high spend. So this is very similar to what I had just went over with the search terms list. If the keyword that's triggering those are spending a ton and getting low performance. So for example, I'm hopping into a client's account and I'm looking at these 4 keywords in an ad group right now. As you can see, we have the highest spending one or the highest voluminous one getting the lowest cost per conversion, which is good for us, right? We have other ones that are getting higher cost per conversions, but they're not spending as much. So what you could do in this instance is, all I'm saying is pause the underperforming keywords. So over time, if this one started to increase, or even right now, it could potentially be one that I pause. All this is saying is pause your underperforming keywords in your ad account. By pausing them, you're essentially going to hyper focus budget to other keywords that are doing well in the ad account. Optimization G, make sure there are no new auto apply recommendations in the ad account. Auto apply recommendations are something that Google rolled out. They defaulted everybody to opt into auto apply recommendations. These are essentially Google doing optimizations without your approval. If they have auto apply on, they have certain categories where they say, if this criteria is met, we're just going to make this change on behalf of you because we think it's going to help you. In most cases, they do not help you, and it's really just Google pushing their agenda and optimizations for you to test new things in the ad account or across Google that they feel will help you, but really they just want to collect data on. Most cases, these are going to hurt you. Okay, so where are you going to find the auto apply recommendations? I recommend just going into your campaign, typing in auto apply, and you'll see right here, it's going to bring you right to auto apply recommendations. Make sure that all of them are just unchecked. Right? And so there's 2 categories. You have this one, and then there's another one down here. You'll just make sure everything's unchecked. And so as you can see, they have the ability to add new keywords on your behalf, add everything to broad match, use display expansion, things that are not going to help your ad account. So just make sure they're all unselected and hit save. And this is going to be a monthly change that you do. Just make sure that your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, and make sure you check that. As they roll out new features in Google Ads, there's times where they will auto select it for you when a new feature rolls out. So I like to check this monthly and make sure that nothing is selected. Okay, optimization number H. Optimization letter H. Are there any ad groups that should be paused? Look for low performers. So this is very similar to the keyword thing. Look at your campaign. If you have several ad groups that are running, look at the underperforming ad group and pause the underperforming ad group. What it's going to do is, again, it's going to hyper focus budget to top performing ad groups and things that are driving actual campaign impact and performance. This should be done on a monthly cadence. This and really the next couple optimizations are going to be monthly cadence things. You want enough data to understand if the change is statistically significant enough, meaning there's enough data to say with confidence that if I turn this off, my campaign should be doing better. Optimization I is, are there keywords with good performance but have lower spend? This is only applicable with keywords that have very low impression share on them but are doing really well. And the way you're actually going to scale them is look for other keywords in that ad group that have maybe a higher cost per conversion and a higher cost on them monthly, and just pause that keyword. So again, this is very similar to optimization F, where if you have other keywords that when you look at the comparison, they're doing better than other keywords that are spending more, pause the top spending ones, even if they have a decent cost per conversion, and test out and see if the one that's spending very little but has a lot of search impression share growth could be your new top performing keyword. And the way you do that is by pausing other keywords in that ad group that will actually allow Google to spend on other keywords and new opportunities. Optimization J is implement an ad variation landing page test to see what landing pages have better conversion rates. So, and the reason you want to do this is because where you send your traffic is going to impact your conversion rate. It's going to impact everything. It's going to impact how many conversions you get, what's your cost per lead. So if you have a very bad optimized page and you're sending traffic to there and you're saying, hey, our metrics in our ad account suck. Well, the issue could very well just be your landing page. So making sure that you're testing on a monthly basis pages that potentially could do better than what you're currently sending traffic to is one of the things that I advocate for at the highest rates. And I've surprised myself when I've set up these tests for clients. And so how do we actually do that? Well, you're going to go to the Google Ads dashboard. You're going to go to experiments down here. You're going to go to ad variations, click a button right here, the plus button, and you can select this for all campaigns. I recommend doing this for specific campaigns so you can get the measurement on specific campaigns where the landing page is relevant to that campaign. So you'll select your campaign and hit continue. You're going to go to update URLs. You can name your experiment. So I usually do this, the current landing page that your traffic is running to. So let's just say homepage versus X inner page, right? So it could be just a specific inner page you're sending it to or a collection page you're sending it to. And then you would make sure that you have your start date. You can add a duration in there. Doesn't really matter because usually you can collect data and see the biggest insights on this within 30 days. So you can select this, you can end the experiment anytime, so it doesn't really matter. And then make sure you select 50% traffic. You want equal clicks to go to each one. So when the test is concluded, it's statistically significant, meaning each of them had equal chances to run and get conversion data on them. And then you'd obviously just apply the winner. Hopping into optimization K, if you're sending ads to a different landing page, review your conversion rate by landing page. And if any landing pages are having a slightly low conversion rate, update or change that landing page. And so this is a quarterly task that you'll do. It's essentially doing what I just mentioned above, but looking holistically across the ad account and saying, hey, where am I getting the best conversion rate? What landing page am I sending ads to that are getting the best conversion rate? And just update all the rest of the ads in the ad group to that landing page as well. Optimization I is review monthly performance spikes or declines to see what changes were implemented around that time. And this will help you understand what changes positively or negatively impacted your performance. This is going to be a monthly thing. And so if I just look last month for this ad account, you're going to go to your overview tab, let it load. And all you're going to want to do is look for big performance spikes if there's any. And so for example, I like to set this to weekly. I'm looking the first week going into December, and then I'm looking, it was pretty consistent. And then last week of December, it was actually pretty poor. So I can look, and in most cases, this is probably just going to be a seasonality thing for us if I were just to guess. But if this was to happen or we were to see a big performance spike, I can look at the week that the change happened in. And what I can do is I could backtrack. I can go to my change history down here and I can see for that specific week in that time period, what changes were implemented around that time. And if it led to a positive thing, I can replicate those changes. I know what changes lead to the most impact in the ad account. Or on the contrary, if it led to a negative impact, I can revert those changes from the change history and essentially correct performance very quickly that way. Optimization M, double check that conversion actions are still firing correctly. If not, then fix ASAP before making any changes. So again, this is a monthly task. Double check your conversion actions are firing properly. There's so many people who never check their conversion actions in their ad account and they're wondering why their data is flawed, why it's double counting, or why they're not getting enough conversions. And in most cases, it's because something broke with the conversion tracking. So I always recommend doing this. Double check, configure your conversion actions, make sure they're firing properly. Easiest way to do this is to go into Google Tag Manager and to force your conversion actions to fire from Google Tag Manager's debug view. And if you see the tag, the Google tag firing on those conversion actions, and you're usually at a green light. Also, they have tags in Google's conversion action summary, and most times they'll just say needs attention, or there's a red tag and it means there's issues with it. So that's another quick way to check those conversion actions. Optimization N, are there any campaigns that need to be shut off? This is very similar to the other optimizations that I've said around pausing keywords or pausing ad groups. This is just doing it at a more macro basis. Again, I would do this on a monthly standpoint, is look at your whole ad account and say, hey, if I have all my campaigns and the profit margin on the product or the service sold is the exact same, well, if I look at campaign A and campaign B, if I look at campaign B and it's spending the same exact amount of money, but the cost per conversion or the conversion rate is way worse in it, and it's just not profitable when we link it back to revenue, then I'm probably going to turn that campaign off and either reallocate that to the other campaign, campaign A, or I'm going to start a new campaign to see if I can get a better result in that new campaign. Optimization O, this is also going to be something that's done on a monthly standpoint. Add add any converting or highly relevant search terms as exact keywords. And so this is going to give you an opportunity to look for new opportunities that you're not exactly targeting in Google, and give you the opportunity to exactly target those keywords in Google as additional opportunities for your ad groups. And so how do you do this? You're going to go into an ad account, and I'll just hop into a search campaign right here. Look at your search terms, and what you'll do is, like, if I were to look last month, and let's say if I filtered by conversions, let's just say I did not have this keyword. As you can see, I've already added this search term as a keyword. Let's use this guy as an example. So if I looked at this keyword, and let's just say the metrics were awesome. It had tons of conversions, which the cost per conversion is very low on this guy. Actually, it's $5. So if this had more conversions, I'd probably be inclined to add this as an exact match keyword. But what I do is I just go here and I click add as keyword. And this is gonna allow us to target this more effectively and more consistently. Optimization P, this is going to be a quarterly task that you do, and this is going to be consider testing new bid strategies. A lot of times I see most people never test their bid strategy. They leave their bid strategy at maximize conversions or maximize clicks or something like that, and they never know if a new bid strategy would actually drive higher impact in the account. So quarterly, this is a good time to consider, if I have not been hitting my targets and I've been doing all these optimizations the way that Carlos is laying out for me and nothing is working, well, potentially test a new bid strategy. That could be the missing link. I have seen that be the missing link in ad accounts, is a new bid strategy, a more effective smart bidding strategy, or hopping from manual to smart bidding strategies. And so consider this on a monthly basis. Okay, hopping into my mid-impact performance optimizations. These are going to be things that are all done for the most part on a monthly and quarterly standpoint. And so just hopping into optimization Q, make sure ad extensions are set up accurately and applicable for the month. So a lot of times ad extensions, these are the things that show up on an ad. Make sure you go into your Google ads and make sure these are updated and relevant. Some people will have promotion extensions that are literally years old that are still running, that are not applicable. And so it's just going to put a bad taste in their mouth. So make sure those are updated. The way you'll do this is just go to your ad account, go to assets and extensions. They're essentially interchangeable names, but this will be a way to where you can view all your business name, business logo, site link extensions, call out extensions, structured snippet extensions, call, lead form, message, location, all of it, the whole 9 yards. So just make sure that things that are performing well are turned on, things that are underperforming are turned off, and most importantly, that they are all updated. Optimization, letter R. If you are seeing an increased cost per click, usually what you're going to want to do is dive into the auctions insight tab in Google to see what the reason is. Is it simply because Google is getting more expensive year over year and it's more competitive? You're going to want to see what it is. And so the auction insights tab is going to allow you to do that. And so the way to do this is you're going to want to pull up an ad account, pull this drop down and put auction insights. And this will show you other competitors who are also bidding and how often you're overlapping on the keywords that you're targeting and the keywords that they're targeting. 1/3 of the time they're showing up on the same keywords. And so if I'm getting a rise in CPC and I see over time that their overlap rate is increasing, that's likely the reason why. And so this is, again, something that's low impact, not necessarily an actionable with it, but it'll give you insights on why costs are rising. Optimization S is to review your location performance and add exclusions or bid optimizations based on location performance. So for example, if I were to go to my ad account and I go to this campaign, for example, and if I go down to the locations tab underneath the audience, keywords, and content, so this report is going to allow you to see your clicks and performance essentially by location. So if you're targeting the whole United States like this client is, you can see we're spending most of our money in California. We're getting a decent cost per conversion. This is decent for this client. But Florida, look at, we spent $680 last month on Florida. What it equates to, because we have a 0.01 conversion, which is just meaning at some point somebody converted from a click in Florida, but it had very low attribution to that click, meaning the click likely happened and then 30 days later they converted. So it's giving very, very partial credit to Florida for that conversion. And so this is going to look inflated, the cost per conversion, because we didn't spend $81,000, but that's what it's equating to if we were to look at 0.01 conversion. Anyways, this report's going to allow you to look at the performance by state, and it's going to allow you to add bid adjustments here. So you can either increase your bid adjustment, and when you increase your bid adjustment, you're essentially telling Google, hey, I'm willing to spend more for clicks in this area, so show me more, and they'll show you more in those areas. You can also go into the settings in Google on the campaign settings, and you can just exclude locations that are performing really poorly. Optimization T is review device performance and add exclusions or bid adjustments. So this one is pretty easy to do, but what you'll do is you'll just go to your campaign and then you can go to device right here. And I'm just looking last month. And these are going to be ones that I typically do on a monthly basis. So if I were to look last month, we see from a cost per conversion standpoint, we actually see mobile converts at a lower cost per conversion than desktop. I probably would not add a bid adjustment on these guys because they're getting about the same number of conversions. And this is not too large of a delta or difference for me to want to add a bid adjustment. If you did want to add a bid adjustment, what you would do is you'd scroll up, you go to insights and reports, go to where my ads are shown, and you go to devices right here, and you would continue to add bid adjustments. Optimization U is check to see if there's any searches from non-targeted locations and exclude them. So there's oftentimes, and this mostly comes from if your campaign settings are not well optimized and you're selecting and you're allowing people who are interested in your location or living in your location to see your ads, which is not optimal. You should always target in or regularly in your location. So if you notice that people are clicking on your ad, let's say you're targeting the United States, but you're getting clicks from Europe, well, just go in and make sure you exclude those locations in the campaign settings. Optimization V, regularly review performance by hour of day to increase your budget if you're not spending sufficiently throughout the whole day. So this is an easy way to look at if you want to add a ad schedule to your campaign. And so for certain clients, maybe beginning of the day makes most sense to spend their ads. And the way you'll actually do this is just look by your actual performance. So if you go to segment, go to time, go to hour of day. If I look last month for this campaign, we actually have an ad schedule set up for this campaign because we find for this client, they're a lead generation client. Well, nobody's in the office between 1 and 6 a.m. And so we don't start running our ads till 7 a.m. If you're a lead generation company and you're spending money on hours where nobody's in the office able to take leads that come in, well, you're going to hurt your own conversion rate because the longer a lead waits to be contacted after they've submitted a form, the colder they become and the less likely they become to become a conversion or a sale. And so things like this is if you look at hour of day, you can filter by top performance, and this will allow you to add certain adjustments to either your ad schedule or your whole campaign to make sure that it's spending most efficiently on the hours of the day that are most applicable to you. Optimization W is to review performance by day of the week. And so this is a very similar change that you can make to your ad schedule to see what days make sense to be shown. So for example, if you are a lead generation company, very similar to the hour of day thing, if you have nobody in the office on Saturday, Sunday, it may make sense only to include Monday to Friday. I can do this the same way that I viewed the hourly report. So if I look at time, you have to do it on a 7-day period so they can show you the actual 7-day performance. But if I go to segment, I go to time, and I go to day of performance, and then you'll be able to adjust your spend or your ad schedule accordingly to what makes sense for you. And real quick, I didn't mention this, but V and W are going to be optimizations that you're doing on a quarterly basis. It's listed up here, but just wanted to bring that up as well. And then hopping into my low performance impact changes. These are going to be changes I go through relatively quickly, but optimization X, review the split test that you're running in the ad account, particularly ad split tests that you're running in specific ad groups. So if you have ad A and ad B and maybe the ad copy is different, review those, which one's getting a better click-through rate and a better cost per conversion, pause the underperformer and maybe launch a new test. Optimization Y is to check and see if you have any disapproved or rarely shown ads or limited by ads and fix those issues, either appeal them or change them, or if you can do nothing about it, reach out to support, see what they have to say about it. Optimization Z, the last optimization 26, is going to be if you actually run a test and you duplicate, let's just say an ad, make sure you only make one change to that ad. So run a test on an ad and only make one change to that ad. And the reason why is because you want an A/B test. You don't want an ABC test. You want to know what change that you made actually drove impact positively or negatively to the ad. For example, if you run an ad variation test and you duplicate an ad and your responsive search ad has pinned headlines and then one doesn't have pinned headlines, test that. That'll be the only change. And so you'll know if it does better or worse, that's the reason why. You can implement this checklist, but if you fall victim to one of these 3 issues, you'll undo the checklist and it will not be effective. So let's dive right into what these issues are. Issue number 1 is conversion tracking issues. And this is kind of folded into the checklist as well to double check and make sure conversion actions are firing. But if your conversion actions are not set up properly from the beginning, this checklist will not help you because you're looking at an inaccurate lens of data to understand what change should be made. So make sure your conversion actions are set up properly for at least 30 days before you implement any of these changes. You want to make sure that your changes are data backed. And the only way to make sure that the validity of the data is accurate is to first make sure that you have confidence in the conversion tracking setup. The second mistake or pitfall that I see a lot of people fall into is they implement this checklist, but the reason why I had the frequency tab in the checklist is that they're implementing the checklist too often, or they're implementing too many things in the checklist all at once. And so these kind of go hand in hand together. But if you're doing this whole checklist on a daily standpoint, you are hurting the ad account. The ad account is never being able to learn from your previous changes. And to be honest, you're never being able to learn from your previous changes. You don't know which change you made actually led to impact because you have 26 different changes that you implemented on a daily or weekly standpoint. And so that's why the checklist has those frequency tabs. So make sure you follow them. The last change, this is not as applicable. Everybody's a little bit different, but I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this checklist serves as a guide and a list of things to look for, but it only works if you understand how to view your data. If you do not understand how to view your data properly, this checklist won't serve you. So make sure that your columns are set up in a way that quickly give you a bird's eye view of the health of the ad account, the health of campaigns, the health of ad groups, the health of keywords, so you can understand what change to implement based on the true performance and the way the data is being presented for those campaigns. Great. Well, thank you guys so much. And I hope this video helped you guys realize that making changes and optimizations in your ad account, they don't have to be hard, especially when you have a step-by-step process and a guide to help you understand what changes are going to drive the most impact. If you guys are looking for somebody to give you a free ad account audit or run your ads completely, book a meeting by hitting the link in the description. Otherwise, if you want to see how AI has impacted Google and how it's here to have your back, watch the video up above where I explain easy ways to improve performance with the help of AI. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with videos like these.